Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called Healing Beyond Western Medicine: How to Cultivate Emotional and Physical Health and Address Autoimmune Challenges and Chronic Pain with a Truly Holistic Approach. My name is Stephen Dinan. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and I'm really thrilled to be here with you, getting to learn from a preeminent leader in the field of holistic health. Her name is Dr. Elena Villanueva. She's the CEO of Modern Holistic Health and has really been offering a very comprehensive paradigm that helps us look at a range of ailments from a much more systemic perspective, and one that really helps us be a whole person and move forward with greater health. So, Dr. Elena, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I'm very excited to be here.
Great. Well, we're going to dive in. I know you've got a lot ready for us. And I also want to let everyone know we're going to have a brand new program with Dr. Elena called Healing Beyond Western Medicine. So we'll share more about that towards the end of the hour. So, Elena, I wonder if you could begin us, before we dive into the content, take us a little bit in your story as a thought leader and pioneer in medicine. So what put you on this path to really searching for a deeper and more holistic understanding of health?
I ended up getting really sick, and I came from a Western medicine family. So my father is a physician. All my uncles are physicians with different surgical specialties. And I knew from the time I was little that I wanted to be a healer. But when I got into practice for myself, and I did sports medicine, that's what I originally started doing back in 2003. I Within a few years, I started getting really sick, Stephen, and my father had just passed. And so I didn't have like that direct line of, hey, Dad, what do I do? Can you find the best surgeons for me, or the best, not surgeons, but just the best specialist? I was getting really, really sick. I ultimately ended up with complete aphasia, so I was unable to talk. I had complete memory loss, as if I had gone into like full-blown dementia. I didn't know my son's name. I didn't know what year it was. I didn't know who I was. It was pretty scary. And in addition to that, I had developed, because of that, I had developed a lot of anxiety, severe anxiety, depression, and then a lot of physical ailments. So I ended up with a lot of serious physical issues. And nobody knew what was going on. And I like to say that, obviously there must have been something special that I'm supposed to do on this planet, because I'm still here today. I was very fortunate. I feel like I had a lot of blessings, and a lot of just, a roadmap was laid in front of me for me to be able to find the right people at the right time, the right books, the right recordings, the right wisdom that got put into my path, so that between my desire to find an answer and the background medical education I have, and the openness to look at things from a new perspective, to maybe try things that I would have not thought of before, those things all came together in the perfect timing, and I was able to find my health and recover it. And for this reason, I am deeply, deeply, deeply passionate about helping people find answers and solutions. Those people who are on that hamster wheel of suffering, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of it, any of it, and they just can't get off of that cycle. They can't get out of that cycle, to show them that you're not broken. There are answers and there are solutions, and you are a perfect vessel of healing and health. And my team and I are helping thousands of people around the world to be able to find their answers and get their health back, and to get the life back that they deserve.
Well, it's beautiful the way you've turned that really difficult initiation into your own health crisis into such a blessing for others as well. So let's talk a little bit about this paradigm shift of sort of the more, from a more classical Western kind of perspective to this more holistic paradigm. And what are the things that get included in looking at the foundations of health that are typically not in Western medicine?
Well, typically in Western medicine, we've really become focused on resolving the discomfort, which is great if we're in severe pain because we've broken our leg. Cancel, clear, delete, any of that, right? But we can, in emergency cases, we can get wonderful medications to help us in life, in life-threatening situations. We can get medications that can be life-saving, surgeries that are life-saving. But what we've seen happen over the last 50 years is the frightening rise in chronic diseases, everything from mental health to, heart diseases, to autoimmune diseases, to, brain-related disorders. It's all skyrocketed. And that's because we've been focused, again, on just treating the symptoms. And so what this paradigm shift brings is a new look where we're able to look from a perspective of understanding that there are barriers to healing in mind, body, and spirit that can occur. And when these occur, if we don't look to the root cause, if we don't focus on root cause medicine, right, then we're only treating the surface, just the symptoms. And so that's where this paradigm shift goes into the more holistic world, is that where we understand that the body is a vessel for healing and health. It understands how to heal and heal itself. We just have to figure out when the body is getting into a place of sickness, fatigue, whatever it is that's not optimal for us. We need to be able to step back and ask ourselves, what could be causing this? And that's a little bit of what we're going to dive into today, Stephen, is to talk about some of the most common root causes that people may not know to even look for.
Well, let's dive into that. Let's look at the root causes that we need to dig deeper into.
I love talking about root causes because this is really where it's at. This is the heart of it. And so when we're looking at root causes, Stephen, there are root causes that can be environmental, like in our world around us, from the food that we're consuming, the cleanliness and purity of the water that we're putting into our bodies, the people we hang around, the movies or the music that we're watching, and the air that we're breathing, how clean it is, or maybe how dirty it is, right? My son just got back from India, and they actually got sick in the cities they were in because there was so much pollution in the air, right? And so these are things that we can actually test for. And so we can use our current established model of science that we all grew up using to help identify, are there any like physical root causes? This model of science that we've all grown up studying and learning about in college and school is the Newtonian model of science. And so with that, we can collect data and we can see if you have chemical toxins in your body, heavy metals, toxic mold, infections in your body, if you have nutrient deficiencies, all of these things that could be preventing you from being able to heal. But then on the other side of it, there are other types of toxins, quote unquote, that we can be experiencing that we don't have testing really readily available yet. There's some testing coming out, but this is on the energetic side of who we are. And so this is another big paradigm shift in healing, is to understand that we are multifaceted as humans, and we're not just the physical body. We are a mind, body, and we're a spirit. And at the core of who we are, right, we are energy. That's what we are. That's our source. It's energy. It's a frequency. And then we get to experience the reality of this 3D body. And so looking at just the outside of what we physically can see, feel, touch, hear, smell, it's very important. But what I would say are some of the most important root causes that can keep a person suffering and not feeling well are the root causes that Newtonian tests can't really test for. And these are the things that we can jump into some into some quantum science to really understand. And those are our belief systems, our emotions, our perspective, things like that really play a huge, huge role in our ability to heal and our ability to stay healthy. And if we have unprocessed emotions or unresolved trauma, for example, that actually gets stuck in the body, and we have this is wonderful news that in this day that we're alive now, we have studies all over the world, published research that shows that these unprocessed emotions and the unresolved trauma can really manifest itself as physical ailments, sickness, symptomology, disease in the body. And so we like to take a multifaceted, very comprehensive approach to look at the physical things in our environment that could be making us sick, but we don't want to forget about the most important things that can make us sick. And those reside in our thoughts and our emotions and our perspectives and the stories that we create about us and the world around us.
Can you explain a little bit more why it's helpful to understand quantum science in order to understand the thoughts and emotions and the effect on our body and health?
Quantum science helps us to understand that we are not just physical in nature. It helps us to understand our multifacetedness of who we are. And there are many things that Newtonian science could never explain that quantum science is able to come in and fill the gaps with that. And our thoughts, for example, are a frequency of energy. They create a frequency of energy. Our thoughts do. Our emotions create a frequency of energy. These are things that are measured using quantum tools. Some of the things that we might not even be aware of that are quantum tools, an example would be the MRI. That's actually based on quantum science. And so quantum science is being integrated and has been being, it's becoming more integrated into Western medicine, which is founded on Newtonian science. But for us to understand energy medicine, or for us to understand the energetic side of us and how that affects the physical part of us, that's where we use quantum science so that we can help understand and help explain these things that we can't see, hear, or touch, basically.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And so maybe share a little bit about how like specifically like a belief system might then outpicture into some sort of disease process.
Absolutely. So let's say that we have a heightened emotional experience and we have a hard time. It was like kind of shocking to our system. Our mind immediately creates a story around what happened because that's what our mind needs to do. That's what our mind does. It's going to create a story over, your first thing might be, what the heck just happened to me, or what just happened here? And then you create a story around it, what you believe that you saw. And typically you'll have emotions that'll go along with that story that you're creating. And this all happens in seconds, right? A good example would be, let's say that someone's driving down the road and they witness an accident happen in front of them. And it's super scary. And they see someone, it's just a really bad accident. And so it scares them. They have to process it really quickly, calm their body down because they just saw this accident. They created a story based off of what they saw. But they also enhance the story and continue creating the story based off the emotions that are coming with it. So there's fear, there's probably some anger, there's probably like whatever's going on in terms of those like dense emotions that people typically refer to as negative emotions. So when that happens, then you've really solidified a new belief system. Like, oh my gosh, that person was driving a big 18-wheeler, and 18-wheelers shouldn't be allowed on the road. So now that's your new belief system. That 18-wheeler caused this accident. 18-wheelers shouldn't be on the road with all these small cars. And you've created your new belief system. So now that you've created a new belief system, that 18-wheeler shouldn't be on the road. Every time that you get on the road and you see an 18-wheeler, what's going to happen? You're going to go back into that neurological pathway of that day when that happened, and you're going to have the emotions that you had that day of anger and fear and all the things. That's what we call a trigger. That emotion stuck in your body because you created a new neurological pathway that created a new belief system. And now every time that you get triggered when you see the 18-wheeler, it brings you back to this belief system with the emotions along with it. And these emotions are actually, when you have, I like to call them dense emotions, not negative emotions, Stephen. But when we have these dense emotions that happen, our body goes into fight or flight, and it starts changing the biochemistry and the neurochemistry of our body immediately. And these hormones of stress and hormones of fear and hormones of anger that get activated because of these emotions, because of this trigger, because of this belief system that we created, can end up really making us sick. It can cause a lot of imbalances that show up on our blood work, that show up on our hormone testing, that show up in the way that we, now have an inability to sleep. So our cortisol levels are, going, out of proper range. And so this is how these types of things can manifest as dis-ease, because a belief system is always connected to an emotion. And if the emotion is a dense emotion, it's going to start creating a flood of fight or flight hormones in your body that over the course of time will lead to disease symptom and symptomology inside the body and the brain as well.
So let's talk that it makes a lot of sense, but let's talk a little bit about some of the other aspects that like toxins that are also part of the equation that often are neglected by Western medicine.
Yes. So that's wonderful that, nowadays we have wonderful testing that can be done. And whenever we're looking at the root causes, we've done thousands and thousands of case studies. And what our research has shown is that there's a lot of commonality in the, like, what are the most common root causes of dis-ease, of sickness, of inability to heal, of mental health related issues, right? Of all of these things, there's some common denominators, and that is environmental chemical toxins, heavy metals, toxic mold, pathogens, which we know as like infections, bacteria, viruses, parasites that don't play well in our body. Because as we know, we've got more, foreign life living in us and on us than we have human cells. And that's okay. It's needed. It's a beautiful ecosystem that we have. But sometimes we end up getting life forms, like bacteria, viruses, parasites that don't play well in the body. Those can also be barriers to healing. Food can actually be very toxic depending on what kind of food it is. So gluten, sugar, right? Those types of things can really cause a lot of issues. So those are the most common physical things that we're talking about. And then we go into the more energetic side of it, which we've touched on that, right? Like our emotions, our belief systems, unresolved trauma, things like that. And so when an individual is looking for answers and they're trying to uncover their root causes, we like to use the testing that's available to look for all of the physical potential root causes, like, are they having big sensitivity to wheat? Do they have leaky gut? Do they have infections? Do they have heavy metals, chemical toxins? What are the chemical toxins? Like, what do they have in their body? And then on the other side of it, there is some technology out there these days, and I'll be teaching about it in this course. But there is some technology out there that can measure energetic frequencies through voice, actually, and we can pick up on bioenergetic distortions to the body. And we can even dive even deeper and see, are those distortions from outer environmental things like what I just mentioned, or are there also some that are being contributed to by unprocessed emotions, unprocessed trauma, different things like that.
You've given us a great overview of some of the key things that we need to look at, and I know you have actually a PowerPoint to go in a little more detail and give us some examples. So I think it'd be a great time for that now.
We believe that it doesn't matter what label that you've been given, in terms of your sickness, dis-ease, conditions, whatever, that you absolutely can heal from it. I mean, we've seen this thousands and thousands of times. And so what I've done is I put a couple of stories in here that I thought might be really inspiring for everyone. This is the story of Jenny, 43 years old, and she's in the pharmaceutical industry. And interestingly enough, we have many people in the medical industry coming to us to recover their health. And as you can see here, Jenny was struggling with a lot of symptoms. A lot of her symptoms she had had for many, many years, including extreme anxiety, which she mentioned that she had had that for over 15 years by the time that she came to see us. She had insomnia, and where she was only sleeping for like 3 hours a night. She had had panic attacks since since 2001, so like around 20 years that she had been having panic attacks. She had vertigo, a lot of stomach issues. She had autoimmune disease. So Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disease of the thyroid where the body is attacking the thyroid. And she was on several different medications to help her with her anxiety, with her sleep, with her panic attacks. Let's go ahead and move over to the next one and take a look. So this is a great example of, of how our approach works. So when Jenny came to us, we had a really long and beautiful and heartwarming conversation about all of the things that were going on. And the heartwarming part was that, we have solutions for you. And where we wanted to start with her was to do some testing. We wanted to get some baseline testing to see what's going on, because our research, Stephen, has shown that over 90% of people who have been sick or struggling with some sort of dis-ease in their mind or body for a year or more, over 90% of them have at least 3 chemical toxins in their body at high levels that are directly related to their symptom, condition, or disease. In published studies, 70 to 75% of these same group of people will have at least one toxic mold in their body. And 20 to 25% of them will have at least one heavy metal or radioactive material in their body, all of which are directly contributing to their symptoms, conditions, and diseases. And so we can see here in this testing that that she did, in fact, show up with mycotoxins and environmental chemical toxins in her body. So about 5 months in or 6 months in, we retested her again, and you can see the decrease in the toxin. So you can see the high levels of toxins and mold that she had in her body to begin with. And then you can see a few months later, the decrease. And this wasn't, this was only after about 5 to 6 months of working on detoxifying these specific chemicals and toxins and things out of her body. It takes an average of 9 months to get all of this out of the body. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. And so we worked with Jenny and took her through an entire process to fully eliminate these toxins out of her body. We did an extensive amount of work on uncovering the root causes of the panic attacks that she had, and this really, really severe anxiety and the insomnia that she had. And, Jenny had not, she actually had stopped driving and had stopped traveling. She would rarely even go out of her house because of panic attacks. And after the energetic healing and the physical healing work that we did with her, teaching her how to take sovereignty back and control back over her own health, you can see here in her symptom sheet that she had an extremely beautiful recovery. Everything that's highlighted in yellows, oranges, and reds are her symptoms that are very high. So we have our clients rate their symptoms from 0 to 10, with 10 being the worst and 0 meaning no more symptom. And you can see that when she first started working with us, her symptoms were really, really bad. And you can just see that by the color, even if you can't see the actual number on the screen. And you can see that over the course of time, she had massive, massive improvements in how she felt. And so this is a really wonderful story, Stephen, just to get to show. And it's super inspiring, where people can see how when you take a multifaceted approach in mind, body, and spirit to address the seen and the unseen, the physical things and the non-physical things, the tangible and the intangible, when we're working on all of it, we are basically giving the mind, body, and spirit the ability to do what it does best, which is to bring itself back to full resiliency and vibrance.
That's an amazing slide and quite a testimonial about Jenny. They're just improvement across the board. So this sort of also, it seems to argue for like how important the systemic approach is, or the holistic approach, because if you're just trying to treat the symptoms, it's like you're never going to get that kind of a shift in all the baselines, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, we have hundreds and hundreds of these. And so I had put a couple in some slides for us to review if we had time or wanted to go over a couple of them. But I mean, just this one alone speaks for itself, right? I
Yeah,
mean, we can show many that look like this over and over and over again. And that's the beauty about this work is that we've been able to create a system where when you look at all the facets of the human condition, you can get consistent results every single time. And that's super, super powerful. And it's inspiring too.
that's awesome. Maybe let's show one more just to kind of give a sense for a different case study and how you approach that.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is Carolyn, another speech pathologist, another person in the medical field, in the Western medical field. And she came to us struggling with a plethora of symptoms. So I want you to just take a look at the slide and look at all of the symptoms that she had. And you can see that they were pretty severe, most of them being in oranges and reds. And you can look over time and you can see how she also, just like Jenny, she had incredible, incredible improvements. How did she get these improvements? With the multifaceted approach that we teach our clients to take by looking at all of the facets in mind, body, spirit. So if we go to the next slide, you can see that of course we're going to do tests, right? Because we've already talked about that. We're going to test you. And so we started with her labs. Her very first retest there was done in May. And take a look at the decrease in the toxins. So if you look at the first two toxins, they have a red circle around them. Look at those numbers. And then look at the ones to the left of it. That was done 5 months later, right? And you can see the number decrease. Now, if we go to the next slide, you can see that then she had another test in December, and then another one the following year in 2022. And you can see the numbers continued to go down. Look at the decrease in the toxic load that she had. That's incredible. And we get these consistent results every single time. That is another really good example of the things that we're able to test for using Newtonian science, like testing for chemicals, radioactive materials, heavy metals, toxic mold, all of that. And you could see the really big shifts on the labs as we took her through a process, retesting her along the way to ensure that our process was working and that we had the data. We're very data driven, so we like to show the data. But in addition to doing all of the physical work, we also had to do the most important of all of the work, which is to also go in and take a look at what emotions did she have in her body that maybe she wasn't even aware of, unprocessed emotions. What unprocessed traumas has she had in her life, right, that were also contributing to the dis-ease? What mindset shifts and belief system shifts were necessary in order so that she could help herself to facilitate her own healing. Because our most powerful medicine does not come from outside of us. Yes, understanding how our environment outside of us is affecting us and how we can make those changes, of course it's important. But the most important medicine that we have comes from within us. It comes from what we believe, what we choose to believe, what we choose to think, and the emotions that come with it. And so we did all of this work with Carolyn, and you can see from her symptom sheet the really amazing recovery in her health and vitality that she was able to get.
Well, it's really compelling when you just get it down to that granular level and see how all these baselines can shift very rapidly over when really approached with the right paradigm. We
Mhm.
haven't talked as much
Absolutely.
about pain, but I know that you have a very holistic approach to pain as well. And so you want to set up a little bit of how you can approach pain with a similar lens?
Yeah, absolutely. So, coming from a background of sports medicine, I used to do all the physical things around pain, right? We would look at the biomechanics of the body and see, well, what's out of balance in the muscles, ligaments, or tendons that's causing you to walk this way, that's then causing you to have pain in your hip or pain in your lower back, for example. If someone was having a lot of pain in their neck, we would look at, like, well, what are you doing? Oh, I work at the computer all day. Okay, like, let's look at your posture. Oh, yeah, I'm doing this all day long. Okay, no wonder. No wonder you've got pain. You're not looking straight on. And so looking at biomechanics, looking at the physical part of the body when we do have um, chronic pain, of course that's important. Of course it is, right? And, do we need to get an adjustment? Do we need to put orthotics in our shoes? Do we need to be moving our body more and stretching because the hamstrings are so tight from sitting a desk job all day that it's causing an imbalance in our back muscles that's making our back spasm, right? So all the physical things are important. But did you know that emotions that are unprocessed can actually cause chronic pain? So when I go deeper into my teachings, I go into the science and all the published research that talks about how unprocessed emotions and unprocessed trauma as well, but unprocessed emotions, when we don't express our emotions and we shove them down inside, that can actually express itself as really severe pain. And it can keep people in a state of chronic pain. And so there is a beautiful exercise that we like to teach our clients as a part of their arsenal of how to self-heal. And this exercise is called the pain paradigm. And in the pain paradigm, basically what we're doing is we're getting people to identify where their pain is. And then we're getting them to express out loud what emotion they're feeling. So, for example, if it were me and I would go inside, find that chronic back pain, there it is, and then just start feeling, what emotions am I feeling? What emotions am I feeling? I'm feeling disgust because I've had this back pain for so long, right? I'm feeling anger. What else are you feeling? I'm feeling fear. And as you actually start doing this, then you'll actually see your pain scale go down literally in real time. And we've done this live in front of very large audiences of like 20,000. And it's just amazing, right? We'll bring up 2 or 3 people and we'll do them back to back. It only takes about 5 minutes. And they'll go from a pain scale of 8 or 9 down to a pain scale between 0 and 2, literally within 5 minutes. And I'm not saying that this is a replacement for getting assessed to make sure that you don't have a misalignment in your spine for which maybe you need an adjustment, or maybe you sprained a ligament in your knee or whatever. We definitely want to be sure that we get all that checked out. And using the pain paradigm is an ultra powerful and mind-blowing tool that we love to teach people. And if you want, I'm happy to go through a super basic instruction if you want, so that everyone can give it a try.
Let's do that now.
Okay. So I'm guessing you don't have any chronic pain areas that are bugging you that we could do an experience with you.
I have some lingering stuff in my neck from a mountain biking accident a couple years ago. So it's not like
Yeah.
palpable, but it's like there's certain positions where it's like,
Would you like to try the pain paradigm?
yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and let's try this then. So you've had a mechanical injury from a bike accident that's left you with some chronic pains, with some residual chronic pain. And so we're going to use the pain paradigm, and we're going to be able to use this modality not just as a possible remedy, so to speak, to help to reduce the pain, but with you, we're going to use it also as an assessment tool. Because if there is any emotion, unprocessed emotion tied to the neck pain, you will see your neck pain go down in the next couple of minutes. And most of us do have some emotional component tied to our body aches and pains. Most of us do, but not everybody does. So the first thing that I would say is I want you to bring your internal awareness to the epicenter of where you feel the pain. Where is it located? And then once you do that, I want you to tell me out loud, where is your pain right now on a scale of 0 to 10?
2.
Okay, so typically we want to do this with a pain scale that is 7, 8, or 9. It's going to be a lot more noticeable when we're at a 7, 8, or 9 and we jump and we fall down to a 2 than it is to go from a 2 to a 0. But let's go ahead and let's do it just for the purpose of everyone being able to see. And this will be fun because we can see if your pain goes to a 0. I mean, you're still feeling something, right? So let's see. All right. So go back to the epicenter of your pain. That's at a pain scale of 2. That's located in your neck. And I want you to tell me, what emotion are you feeling right now?
A little bit of sadness, I think.
Okay. And I want you to tell me what other emotion is now coming up for you, if there are any.
I don't know if it's a emotion, but like a little bit of helplessness.
That's good. So you're feeling a little sad and a little helplessness in terms of emotions. What other emotions are you feeling?
Maybe a touch of fear.
Okay. And so go ahead and say, I'm
I
feeling
feel a
some
touch of
fear.
fear.
Okay. Now, let's check in with your pain scale. Have you noticed any shift since expressing that you feel those 3 emotions?
Yeah, I feel like it's probably a 1.
Perfect. So let's go back to the epicenter of pain. Let's do this for a couple more minutes, see if we can get down to 0 with you. Go back to the epicenter of the pain. And if you want to express those original ones again, absolutely trust your higher self that if it feels like it needs to say it again out loud so that your mind, your body, and your unconscious mind can all hear it. That's the powerful tool. Our words carry a lot of power in them. And so just saying it out loud can really make a big difference. So what emotion are you feeling right now?
It's a little lonely.
Okay. Say it. Say, I feel
I
lonely.
feel lonely.
Anything else? What other emotion?
I feel sad.
Okay, good. Maybe let's go back and let's repeat the ones that you've said, saying them each one. I feel X, I feel Y, and I feel Z.
I feel sad. I feel helpless. And I'm forgetting the last one I said. I feel
Fear.
fear. I feel
I
fear.
feel fear. Now let's check in with your pain scale. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I can still feel a little contraction there, but I don't feel any pain.
Okay, so we went from a 2 to a 0. And this has been a fun one because normally when we're doing this, right, we're doing this with people that have a much higher pain scale, and it's really fun to watch that we can take someone from an 8 or a 9 in their pain scale, and we can take them down to a 0, 1, or 2 within about the same amount of time that we just did that
Hmm,
with you.
that's
Um,
amazing. And so,
it
can I
is.
ask a question about that? So it's like you're doing multiple different emotions. So the idea is that you kind of emotions tend to kind of layer, and we haven't been in contact with them.
Yeah, it's very rare that we just have one emotion around an event or around something. But typically, because of the way that we create stories in our mind, um, we typically have a meatball of emotions. So it's very, very rare that a person will only have one emotion
Hmm.
around any type of event in their body and around any type of event, or when they're doing the pain paradigm. And so, yeah, when we express it out loud, um, we're actually able to allow like to get that energy of that emotion that's stuck in the neck in your case, right? There was obviously some of that stuck in your neck. Those emotions, that vibrational frequency was stuck here. And so as you said it, you're allowing it to move through your body. And as it moves through your body, the symptomology starts to go away.
Hmm, that's really cool. So in my case, it's like I just didn't spend enough time or didn't bother to kind of like work with some of the emotional layers of the physical accident so that they just kind of hanging out unprocessed and perpetuating the pain. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of work that can be done anytime we have an injury, around the emotions and the story that we created around it and all of that. Because if we don't, even though here we may think that we've dealt with it, our neck may still be like, no, 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 every time you get on a bike or something, right? And so like that happened with me. I had a terrible injury, Stephen, to my knee last year and my leg skiing, of all things, in January of last year. And I tore my MCL, my ACL. I broke my femur. I really messed up my knee. And when I got back on skis this year, my mind, on a scale of 0 to 10, my mind was maybe a 3 with a little concern because of what had happened, right? But my body was at a 10. It was screaming at me on the ski slopes. It was so stiff. And I kept telling it out loud, like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And my husband and I wear the helmets with the mics so he could hear me talking to myself. And I was like, it's okay, we're safe. This is fun. Your body is totally healthy and totally whole, and it knows how to ski. We can do this in our sleep. But my body was stiff as a board, and it made it almost impossible for me to ski. And so I had to do some more work around expressing how I felt and rewiring that story, that even though in my mind I thought I had dealt with it and fixed it, my body was still stuck back in last January when the event happened.
Hmm.
And so this is one of the many tools I used, um, because my symptom was the tension in the body when I would get up on the mountain. So
Hmm.
I just started saying it. I feel scared. I feel sad. I feel angry that I hurt myself. As I did that, the tension started to go down. And then I was finally able to get to a point where I could ski.
Hmm. It's interesting that you don't even have to do any special movements or anything. It's just verbalizing the emotion is like starts to dissipate the energy. That's really
It
cool.
does. And the beautiful thing is that we've got so many tools and modalities because we've got somatic movements that we can do. We've got sound and breath work we can do to move this stuff through our body. We've got, modalities like TRE, that gets the body shaking, that will literally shake the tension and the trauma and the emotion out of the body. And so this is just one of a huge bag full of really amazing tools that work, to help with symptomology and to help move stuck energies in the body that are making people sick.
Hmm. Well, Elena, you are just a fountain of fascinating insights, and clearly this integrative approach is really works. I mean, judging from the slides you had showing the progress with different people, just the work with the pain as well. So I'm really excited for people to have a chance to go deeper with you and really do a whole system reset and really get some tools to practice on yourself in a way that leads to greater health and wholeness and release of emotional residue and pain. So we're really blessed that Dr. Elena has agreed to teach a brand new program for Shift. It's called Healing Beyond Western Medicine: How to Cultivate Emotional and Physical Health and Address Autoimmune Challenges and Chronic Pain with a Truly Holistic Approach. So you can find the program laid out in detail at masteringselfhealingmethods.com, masteringselfhealingmethods.com. It's a 7-week program. There are no prerequisites. So Dr. Elena is going to really take you through the foundations of a new paradigm for how you approach your health and well-being, and to do so in a way that specifically addresses areas like pain and autoimmune issues as well. So Elena, I'd love for you to share first in your own words, what's your larger intention and the bigger why for the program that people should know, and then I'll read out the module titles. You give us a preview of what's coming in each.
Oh, thank you for asking that question. The overall arching purpose for this is to make an impact in helping people regain control over their health, and to understand that, you are your own guru. And it's not rocket science for you to be able to understand what it is that you need to know to get your health and vitality back, and to optimize your vitality, for the time that you get to live this human experience. I believe that these are everything that I'm going to be teaching in this course. These are things that are easy to learn. And then these are going to be easy for you to teach your family, so that we can change the trajectory of our health as a planet by becoming more aware, and by relearning some of the things that our ancestors knew, that now we have science to back it up, of, these things that can heal us. And then to be able to understand and learn some of the new things that are out there. We've really merged ancient wisdom with modern science now, and you can understand it. It is yours to understand. It is yours to master. And it's only when we take the responsibility back for our own health and vitality and for the reality that we're creating, that's how we're going to be able to change and, really see a lot more health, love, and vitality for our future generations.
I love that inspiring vision. Great context for the course. So module 1 is called Identify Your Root Cause Barrier so you can begin your healing journey.
This is always one of my most fun modules. This is where I give a 30,000-foot overview of really like what are some of the biggest problems that we're all struggling with now, not just here in the United States, but as a planet. And so I go in and I show the problems, and then I show the solutions, and the solutions is when we get into the next modules. But uncovering the root causes, it's a really, really fun module.
Module 2, uncover the combinations of toxins that alter your mind, body, and spirit's ability to heal and experience vitality.
So in this module, this is where we really go into looking at the statistics of what we're seeing in terms of, if you're sick, what is the percentage of a chance, what are the chances and what's the percentage of those chances that you have heavy metals versus chemicals versus trauma versus unprocessed emotions versus infections, and how do all of these things, alchemize together to keep us stuck in a place of sickness? And so I go over that too.
Module 3, adjust the interplay between your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and body to impact your health.
Oh, this is such a great module because in this module, I get into the science behind, this is where I start taking you into the science of understanding your mind and your neurological connections, and how we create thoughts that lead to emotions, that lead to belief systems, that lead to actions that ultimately keep us stuck in a reality of sickness or struggle in different areas of our life. And while many of us have heard of these things, we don't necessarily understand the science behind it. So in this module, I take you through a very easy to understand science course with some beautiful visuals so that you can understand more about the neurology of our mind and body and how it interplays with our health.
Module 4, evidence-based approaches to address, remove, and correct the barriers to healing rooted in the physical body.
Yeah, so this is where we start looking at solutions. So in the first modules, we're really dialing in on the problems and how we can identify which of these problems are ours that we need to deal with. As we start getting into this module now, we're starting to look at what we can actually do to correct these issues within ourselves.
Module 5 is called How Your Bioenergetic Field Instructs Your Physical Body to Either Work For or Against You.
And this is a fun one too. So they're all so much fun. And I'm glad that we got to do a 7-week course because there's no way I would have been able to do all of this in just like a 2 or 3 week course. So in this module, I'm going to take you on a deep dive into bioenergetics. And I'm going to show you some really fascinating recent studies out of UC San Diego, talking about bioenergetics and some different tools and modalities that are being used now to actually shift the bioenergetic of the body, to actually shift the bioenergetic field of the body, in terms of recovering from chronic illness and disease.
Module 6, tracking tools to monitor your progress so you can set realistic goals and timelines.
So this is where I teach you how to be your own doctor. And I'm going to teach you and I'm going to share with you the tracking tools that I've developed that we teach our clients around the world to use. Because this is the thing. If you really want to understand your healing process, you want to collect measurable data. And so while we do have labs that people can do, we also have other tracking data tools, and I'm going to give those to you as my gift. And I'm going to teach you how you can use these tracking tools in your own healing process so that you can monitor not only your progress, but you'll be able to more easily see and assess where you may need to make changes to your healing journey along the way.
And finally, Module 7, receive personalized advice and share your experiences for community healing and support.
Yes. And so in this one, I'm just going to be tying it all together for you and really opening up the room, opening up the floor for you to ask questions. And we're going to let this session kind of lead itself based off of your questions. We're going to have some really amazing insights, amazing stories, and a really amazing wisdom that I'll be able to share with you based on some of the questions that come in during this module.
Well, it's really going to be such a powerful program and give so many powerful practices and tools for people to apply in their lives. So again, the whole program is laid out in detail at masteringselfhealingmethods.com, masteringselfhealingmethods.com. And I'll share a little bit more about it. It's this, you get not only the 7 90-minute live sessions with Elena, which is we're really going to be packed with great information. You're also going to get recordings from every session so you can access those later, do with both video and audio, whatever works for you. In the live sessions, you'll be able to answer your questions live or address your questions live. And there'll also be word-for-word transcripts to work with, study, and highlight. There'll be some weekly exercises and practices at home. There's Facebook community to deepen your experience. And on the page, you'll see a number of extra bonuses that are specifically designed to enhance your journey. There's a whole ebook from Elena called the Environmental Toxins Guide. Want to share a little bit about that ebook?
Oh, this ebook is really amazing. It started as a need, and this is what I call a live document because it's always being updated every year. But I think it's really important for people to really understand the chemicals that are in our environment, the toxic mold that's in our environment, and the heavy metals and radioactive materials that we're all being exposed to, so that we can really, the goal with this is to really bring it home to people so that they can read and see, like, let's say an individual has some labs done and they see that they have high levels of 2,4-D, which is a pesticide that was banned. It was used in Agent Orange during the Vietnam War, but it was also used on crops here in the United States, and it was banned many, many years ago. It's still being used. It's just being used under a different name. But this has direct contribution to, like lymphocytic leukemia and different mental health issues and, a chronic liver disease and all of these things. And so this way, I think bringing awareness and education is the first step to all of us healing, right? We need to understand. And so this ebook will allow you to thumb through it and take a look at these different toxins and what kinds of symptoms, conditions, and diseases that they're known to cause. It's not fully comprehensive because that would take a full-time team working on that year round. But it's a great starting point. And if anyone has had any toxin labs done, they can use it as a reference because they can look at their toxin labs and see, oh, I have ochratoxin A toxic mold in my body. What does that do? They can then cross-reference with the toxin ebook, and they can see, oh, ochratoxin A causes X, Y, and Z, and oh my gosh, I have all three of those things. And so it really just helps put the pieces of the puzzle together for individuals. But like I said, even if you haven't ordered the labs, it's still a wonderful, wonderful resource because it allows you to see these different kind of chemicals and get a much better understanding of what they can do to your body.
That is a great extra bonus, and you really explained it so beautifully. There's another bonus on the page that you'll see again at masteringselfhealingmethods.com. It's called Repattern Your Depressed Heart. It's a video teaching from Rosita Alvarez, a trauma and stress release practitioner that you work with. Want to share more about that?
Yes. So I have assembled a beautiful team of experts. And so when people come to work with us, most of the time they opt for a life team. That's what we call a life team of practitioners and coaches working with them. Because one person can't be an expert at all of it, right? I mean, you could, I suppose, some people could, it would be exhausting. And so I've assembled a beautiful team of experts from around the country. And Rosita is one of our experts who works with trauma. She works with end of life care. She works with people that have PTSD, any type of barriers to healing, health, and vitality that are rooted in the emotions, the mindset, the belief systems, trauma, any of that. And so Rosita is was I talked to Rosita on our team and said, "Hey, Rosita, what do you recommend that we could give our audience as a beautiful gift, something that would really be profound?" And she said, "Well, one of our favorite repatternings that we do." That our clients absolutely love, it's one of their favorites, is the depressed heart repatterning. And so I was really excited when she told me that, and that's what we're giving away as a gift.
Well, that's an amazing bonus just by itself. And so that's just one of the things you get when you take this beautiful program. And on the page, you'll also see there's one extra bonus that is intriguingly named, and I want to share about that too, since that's our special bonus folks get when you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time. It's called Butterfly Hug. This is a video teaching with Rosita as well, who's the trauma and stress release practitioner. Want to share a little bit about that special bonus, Butterfly Hug?
Yes, so this is another favorite of ours. And like we've literally had over 20,000 people email us over the years expressing their gratitude over getting to watch this particular class. And so remember we talked about that there are many different tools and modalities for helping to heal the body. Well, the butterfly hug is one of the many tools that we have in our bag to use. And the butterfly hug uses the principle of bilateral touch for the body to help rewire our neurology. And, like, for example, if we're having a pattern that's taking us into anxiety all the time, we can do a process where we're doing bilateral touch in combination with some phrases, words that we use during the exercise. And it really brings people into a state of rest and digest. Their body feels calm and safe. Yeah, this is something that I taught my grandbabies, and they love the butterfly hug too. It's a really beautiful gift.
Well, what a great extra bonus when you sign up today. And I love the title Butterfly Hug. It's just a great way to embrace yourself with the new paradigm of healing. So we're really blessed to have this program. And we've kept the investment very accessible, given all you're going to gain from this for the long term. It's just 3 payments of $128. You save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start June 4th and run Tuesdays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings, the transcripts, and the community as well. And I also encourage you to read through some of the testimonials. There's some great testimonials. Dr. V has been one of the best, studying and mentoring under Dr. V has been one of the best opportunities of my life. Incorporates teaching, mentoring, empowering our clients to become active participants. So unparalleled expertise, really great testimonials from people who have benefited from Elena's work. Or I guess I should say Dr. V, since it's more in the testimonials. So Elena, thank you so much for offering this program and really synthesizing so many threads of holistic healing practice together in one course that can really benefit people's lives in such beautiful ways. So again, it's all at masteringselfhealingmethods.com, and you're going to get that special butterfly hug bonus if you sign up by midnight tonight. So Elena, anything that's still on your heart you want to share with folks who are considering diving into this program with you?
I'm just super excited. If you are looking for answers and solutions, if you're looking for inspiration, and you're looking for someone who's going to empower you, then this may be exactly what you've been looking for. I'm super excited to see you on the other side. And remember that you are not broken. You are totally healthy and totally whole. And there are answers and there are solutions. And when we take a methodical approach, which is what I'm going to teach you, we can see the transformation that happens. And so I look forward to seeing you.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Elena, and thank you all for joining. And if you'd like to go further into this powerful paradigm of healing, you can do so at masteringselfhealingmethods.com, and you'll get this special butterfly hug bonus when you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you, Elena, and thank you all for joining. Many blessings.